I knew it. I knew that was going to happen.
Yes.
The whole episode I was waiting. Stop enjoying this.
Yeah.
Wait, who did this? Wait, who is that? Who is... What?
What?
How did she...
Yes.
Of course.
That was outstanding. I feel so stupid for not having seen that coming. Wow.
I saw someone say that, and I thought that's ridiculous, and of course that's what the truth is.
Yes. Oh, man, that's awesome. Welcome back to New Rockstars and the breakdown of The Boys, Season 2, Episode 8, a.k.a. the season finale, What I Know. I'm Tommy Bechtold, and this is The Boys Underground. Boys only this week. We told Marina, get out of here and get surgery. And she did. She elected to...
She got hip surgery. We wish her speedy recovery.
We want her to get better very soon because we need her. Anyway, this is The Boys Underground, the after show that's so much fun you'll do anything short of murdering your own mother to watch it. Oh, God. Joining me today in The Boys Underground is my number one boy, sharing his thoughts on Vought. It's our boy king, Erik Voss. What's up?
Hi, I order U.S. states by number of Chipotle locations.
Extra for guac, but they don't have freezers, so you know everything is fresh.
That has to go up every time we talk about Chipotle.
That's right.
It's true. They don't have freezers. The season's over. It happened so fast, Tommy. But what an ending.
Yeah, I mean, you know why? It definitely feels faster because they dropped 3 episodes at once. Because I was this hasn't felt like that. But wow, what is overall? We're gonna get into it, but what a season! It's so hard to follow up something that was so well done. I mean, shows have such a hard time piecing together multiple seasons of solid programming. This season of this show delivered in ways that I thought were even improvements on the first season.
Yeah,
so,
I agree. I totally agree.
Interesting places to go from here, and I'm so excited to see. So let's cover what happened. In the wake of the Congress attack, schools are now showing safety videos about how to protect from soup attacks. Again, another example of this show getting so real that it's like, ooh, cringy. The government is preparing to give Compound V to law enforcement. Butcher and the boys are arming themselves to the teeth to fight the Seven, and Becca escapes her compound and then makes her way to Butcher in order to ask him to save Ryan. Stan Edgar and Alistair Adana agree to let the Deep go back into the Seven. A-Train, finding out that he cannot go back into the Seven, steals a file the church has on Stormfront's Nazi past and actually gives it to the boys, gives it to Huey and Starlight specifically. Butcher makes a deal with Stan Edgar to get Ryan away from Homelander and hand him over to Vought, but the deal also includes Becca staying with him and separating from Ryan, so an attempted betrayal for sure. Oh, and let's not forget, Homelander and Stormfront struggle to raise Ryan in Homelander's image, tucking him away in a pristine, beautiful cottage right near Rochester, New York. That's right. Homelander and Stormfront had no choice but to bring their boy to the Flower City and allow him to flourish like the beautiful, superpowered orchid that he will become. And there's no better place. There's culture. There's industry. There's sports. I mean, presumably in a world without COVID-19, of course. There's beautiful people walking around. There's the Seneca Park Zoo, home of elephants and zebras and
It's
monkeys.
the only place you can find those
snakes.
things, I'm sure.
I'm told the only zoo left in America. And who else could forget? There's also Batavia Downs, the greatest harness racing track in the world, and other things. Follow me on my new blog, Talkin' Chester, where I'll discuss all things to do in Rochester with your superpowered boy that you've kidnapped from his mother. Anyway, the boys released Stormfront's Nazi history to the press, and shockingly, everyone just believes it. They're like, oh, of course.
If only.
Frenchie lures Homelander away with those deafening speakers, which sounded like they could really blast some Fleetwood Mac, so I would be interested in buying one. Butcher can't go through with separating Becca from Ryan, so he lets them leave together while letting Edgar's men face Homelander's wrath. And that scene gave me chills when he realized that Vought had turned on him a little bit, and like he was like, oh, these guys are all dead. Every time you realize they've made Homelander so powerful and rageful and deadly that every time he gets angry, I go, this is going to be so gross. This is going to be so awful. So, as Ryan and Becca are escaping, Stormfront returns and intercepts the car, flips it over. Somehow nobody dies from this, which I could can see where Ryan wouldn't die if he's got Homelander's DNA. Becca and Mother's Milk should definitely be dead, but they're not.
Someone should have gotten more hurt from that. Yeah.
Yes. Maeve then appears to help Starlight and Kimiko fight Stormfront and beat her Nazi ass. Hey, Kraut was a great line. And the girls get it done, as said by Frenchie. Great reference.
Yeah, I gotta say, way to come full circle with something like, it started with making fun of Avengers Endgame in that moment that was a bit cringy, and then they turn it into satire and like we're self-aware, and now by saying it, they've made it sincere again and showed that like these things don't have to be cringy. Like they can be really cool to see. Like this was awesome.
This was fantastic. Stormfront flees and attacks Butcher and Becca in the woods. Ryan fries Stormfront, but also in that act accidentally kills Becca. And boy, did he mess Stormfront up. I mean, that was...
Kill me. In German. How do you say kill me in German?
I don't know. Homelander catches up to them, but Ryan wants to go with Butcher. Maeve threatens to release the Flight 37 footage. Homelander does allow them to leave, shockingly. Vought blames the head popping on Stormfront. Starlight gets to rejoin the Seven along with A-Train, and the Deep is now left out. Homelander sends us all home by jerking off in the moonlight by himself.
I love that shot. Some people say it was like a season 1 shot that they weren't allowed to include in season 1, but now Amazon's like, whatever, do what you want. But we got our lovely FAP signal is what I'm going to cause.
That was truly disturbing and hilarious. So Ryan is then taken with Mallory and the CIA. Butcher and the boys are now working for Mallory's soup task force.
Which is kind of like how the comics start out. Yeah,
exactly. I was gonna say this. I'm still only on the first trade paperback of the comics, so I'm still working my way through it. But yeah, I'm like, this seems much more in line with the comics. So that right when we think that Adon is about to get a tax exemption in exchange for more dirt on Vought, his head explodes, pop, and we find out it was caused by Newman standing outside. And then in the next scene, Newman. Exactly. Hello, Adana. So then we're finally left with Huey in an attempt to assert some independence, going and getting a job for Newman at her campaign, which is, of course, perfect Huey accidentally stepping into the belly of the beast in an effort to just do the right thing and declare a little independence. He does the absolute wrong thing. So, I mean... Like I said, an episode that ultimately gave us more questions than answers, but still felt satisfying. I mean, Stormfront getting her comeuppance felt very satisfying.
Yes.
Again, it's so funny, this show that is about super-powered individuals and giant corporations hits so many real-life topics. Like, you know. Yeah.
It was insane. Like, the writing on this season was especially sharp. They didn't ever feel too preachy, but it felt like they were a bit ahead of the curve, or at least with the curve when it comes to our current political climate. Like, they understood it on a level that I don't think any other show trying to comment on our current political times has had yet. Or aside from, like, you know, satire political shows, like fictional shows. Like, they really nailed it. And you know, I gotta say, I did not really see Victoria Neuman coming, and it's because the show did not want us. Like, the effort the writers went to hide that reveal was pretty extreme, down to her whole character development. There's a complete side to her that we were not given a whole lot of clues on. There are some visual clues we'll talk about, but you would not have been able to see those ahead of time unless, like, you just made a blind guess. Well, it could be this character.
Right.
And I think the people who predicted it just made a blind guess that it was Newman based off of Vic Newman's role in the comics.
Yeah, I agree, but I also, it was just so, I was genuinely shocked by it. Like, I definitely
me too.
That was not on my radar of possibilities.
But let's talk about this. I'm going to break down top 10, maybe a couple more Easter eggs, visual details that you might have missed from this episode. Let's start with this big Newman reveal. So what we learned about her, she can pop heads via line of sight. Her eyes do glaze over white briefly afterwards. The show did a great job concealing this. If you do go back and look at that Congress attack from episode 7, every time a head explodes, an angel gets wings, and Newman was looking directly at the victim seconds before.
Yeah.
So the committee head, Vogelbaum, the two more, including Shockwave, Newman does this subtle eye dart, boom, boom, and then it's immediately corresponded by two pops. And then she's in her seat frozen while she's looking at all the heads around the room. But there's this amazing moment where the pops stop after Mallory picks her out of her chair. But then Newman turns around to look at her chief of staff, having no reason to turn around to look at her, and then the head pops. Ooh. I remembered it being the opposite. I thought the head pop and then Newman turned around. No. Newman turns around first, looks at her assistant, head pops. And then Newman uses the shock of running back to her to sit back in that seat and pop even more heads in the room. It was so messed up. Now, I do have to say it's hard to tell if her eyes turn color during that attack. You can maybe detect the faintest glimmer from her eyes right when Mallory pulls her up. Or maybe it's possible that, you know, if you're in the room with someone, you're close to proximity, no barriers between you, you don't have to do that, the eye wipe. With Adana, she was on the other side of a fence. She was on the other side of glass. Right. Maybe that was like a greater distance. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. But there's also another clue with Newman. Watch her closely during the scene with Secretary of Defense Bob Singer.
Look, there was no terrorist. It was Vought. It's a coup.
Folks are scared. If Vought took a shit in the middle of Fifth Avenue, they'd throw a ticker tape parade.
Well, of course, that Fifth Avenue line was a nod to Trump saying he could shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue and get away with it. But Newman, if you watch, is probing Singer here. She herself is Vought's coup from the inside, of course. She's testing Singer to see how much of a political obstacle he'll be. And when he says, for the record, I agree with you, that's when she's like, oh, okay. She got her answer. But my favorite moment is right here when he says,
doses are going for $5 million a pop. Pentagon's got a big order in.
Yeah, Newman's eyes were glued to Singer, but when he said the word pop, it nearly triggered her. So she has to like, oh shit, and immediately like look away to take her eyes off his face. Tommy, I feel like there's a lot more throughout the season. So we got a video coming out Monday where I'm going to go back through the whole season, explain each Newman clue that we overlooked, because I think there's some really subtle ones that people still haven't really caught. I just started rewatching, and I've already found some really cool ones. Let's go back to the beginning of the episode. It opens with this horrifying school safety video. It does reflect the episode description on Amazon's listing had a soup terrorist alert, all caps. So this kind of bled right into it. I was like, has the episode begun yet? Are these like FBI warnings real? Like, but the teacher, of course, has a firearm, which is even more useless than the real life proposals to arm teachers, since most soups are bulletproof. Right. But they use the acronym LAW: lock the door, arm yourself, and then wait for a hero. Two kids use the American flagpole tip, similar to how, if you think about it, Homelander is a Stars and Stripe decorated weapon. Of course, he would love it if they use that. But lock, arm, wait comes back throughout the episode. There's one moment with the Vought soldiers where Homelander locks them in with him, then he arms himself with his eyes charging up, and then he waits for them to tell him where Ryan is. LAW. It's so creepy how it gets used that way. It comes back later in another cool moment. We'll get to that in this breakdown. Okay, there's another one where Stormfront and Homelander talk about the coming race war.
Don't worry, silly. Frederick had a solution for everything.
A nod to the Nazis' final solution, but also note the way she says Frederick. Once again, her German accent is coming out with names of people from her past. And this, in one of the cooler moments of the episode, comes up at the moment. She is fried by Ryan. Ugh. And she begins babbling in German.
I'm shot in einen Apfelbaums.
Now, a lot of you guys were asking us what she's saying. We were able to translate it to, quote, "It was so beautiful how the three of us sat there in the shade of an apple tree. Do you remember the day, Frederick? Chloe reached her arm out the window. We found the perfect spot at the river in the shade of an apple tree. It was the first time Chloe ate fresh apples." Yeah, see, Stormfront's life is flashing before her eyes, and she's nostalgically returning to this memory with Frederick Vought and her daughter, someone we know from that moment in episode 7 that she still misses horribly. Okay, next detail. There are definitely some Star Wars parallels with Stormfront in this scene, right? Like, she's using lightning on Billy, and then she chokes Becca as Ryan is watching, not sure what to do. It's very similar to the way the Emperor is hitting Luke with that Sith lightning as Vader's watching, not sure what to do until he finds his inner light. Interestingly, though, Stormfront is the one who ends up more like Vader and Anakin, like, after Obi-Wan's high ground. Her body is burned and disfigured. Her limbs are severed. To me, I might be reading too much into it. It did kind of signal that, like Vader with the Emperor, Stormfront wasn't the ultimate darkest threat that we had to worry about this season. Head Popper Newman is still out there and poses an even scarier threat. A threat that, I don't know about you, Tommy, but after episode 7, the whole episode 8, every scene I was freaking out.
Yes, it's permanently stressful on that show now that there's someone whose power is to make people's heads burst. Now that I know that she has to be looking at them, I can kind of relax a little bit. Like when they're in a basement somewhere, I can be like, all right, it's not going to happen here. But yeah.
Sure. And then there's a scene where Ryan with Ashley is eating Tony Cicero's pizza. That's the same Italian food chain where they killed Translucent in season 1. Butcher showed up at another Tony Cicero's at the top of the season. But notice what Ryan does to calm himself.
Yeah, I write down all 50 states as fast as I can in either alphabetical order or geographical order.
This is similar in the comics to the character Soldier Boy, who will sometimes list U.S. states as a battle cry. Soldier Boy has shown up a bunch of times this season. The statue in Vought Park. He was a standee in the pawn shop. He will join the cast next season, played by Jensen Ackles. Butcher also told Edgar that Ryan was his only possible contingency against Homelander, which is how Black Noir is kind of used in the comics. So I don't know, Tommy. Maybe there's some kind of biological connection between Soldier Boy and Homelander and Ryan. Like maybe they're all part of the same family tree, with each son developed as a security check on their too powerful dad.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay, a lot of you noticed the subtle gust of wind on the fresca napkins in the church, signaling A-Train had snuck into eavesdrop. But look closely at the file that he stole from the church's archives. That is the Church of the Collective seal, and its logo has a serpentine figure. Looks very similar to the S winding through the double triangles of the Scientology logo.
Yes.
Now, we know by now there's not too much to the fresca other than, the cult Kool-Aid joke. The series creator has said as much. And, of course, the amazing edit of Adana popping one open, leading to his head being popped. And there was a moment where Stan Edgar just mentions how much he hates it.
Fresco? No, thank you. Awful stuff.
But then, this is so weird. Notice later when Edgar meets with Butcher, he drinks this weird drink where it's just a squirt of lime juice with it looks like club soda.
Thank you, Alvin.
If you think about it, Fresca is just basically citrus soda. It's really the same thing, but I think this tells us that Stan Edgar drinks the same kind of shit. He's in the same business, but he prefers the real thing as much as he can. Like, both he and the church are really just in it for the money, but Stan Edgar only trusts a real cocktail leading to that goal that he can independently verify and control. He doesn't want something out of a can. There could be more to that. I just thought that was a really cool character detail there. Anthony Starr gives off an amazing performance this whole season, but there's this really subtle micro expression when Stormfront lectures Ryan about white genocide.
They want to wipe us from this earth just because of the color of our skin.
Really?
It's called white genocide. And we're gonna need people like you to protect our kind.
So Homelander is racist, no doubt, but there is some daylight between him and Stormfront here. See, Stormfront's philosophy comes from a sincere sense of victimhood. Like, that's how all fascist movements start, right? Like, Germans suffered after World War I. Hitler made them think it was the Jews' fault. Today, all over the world, nativist leaders are doing the same thing with immigrants. Like, all the bad things in your life are the refugees, the immigrants' fault, the outsiders' fault. But Homelander doesn't get that. He cannot relate to victimhood at all. He's superior. His racism stems from ultimate superiority. He looks down on everyone. He can't relate with the masses at all. He's not afraid of any other. He's just a narcissist. He's afraid of not being loved by the masses. I think this is just a little moment telling us that Homelander was never meant to lead Stormfront's race war the way she wanted him to. He could not be a leader of hearts and minds. He could not lead an army. He could not be part of a society. He is always alone. He's like an apex predator. And I just think it's so cool how Anthony Starr could telegraph that.
Yeah, I noticed
reaction.
that as well. That was great. Yeah.
Now, my favorite Easter egg this episode, I think you might have caught this. On the news report revealing Stormfront's Nazi origins, the banner text reads, "Credible lead ties Stormfront to Jeffrey Epstein's death." Oh, perfect. Unlike in our world where Jeffrey Epstein, of course, was killed by the Zodiac killer, Ted Cruz.
Yes, of course.
Actually, I do have a couple more I want to go through real quick. Let's just extend this to the top 15. Cool?
You got it. Yeah.
All right, let's keep going, baby. It's the end of the season.
Let's go.
So Butcher gives Ryan that St. Christopher talisman. That's the patron saint of travelers. And among Catholics, there's a well-known depiction of St. Christopher carrying the Christ child, similar to how Butcher picks up and carries Ryan, perhaps one day a Christ-like deliverer, away from harm at the end of this episode. Just kind of a nice parallel there. Just fun visual details that are almost throwaway. Notice the boys' gear. MM has a Snickers bar on the table. I'm wondering if that's a defense against Black Noir with its recently discovered nut allergy.
Yes.
And then Frenchie's laptop is amazing. The back of it is decorated with the French flag. And then when he closes the speaker app, you can see his desktop wallpaper is a cat with a tuxedo and glasses. It's just awesome wallpaper. And then during Homelander's press conference at the end of the episode, Starlight, if you notice, is back in her original wardrobe. Apparently having negotiated out of her, new sexed up look that she was forced to wear when she joined the Seven.
Yes.
And then speaking of wardrobe, Huey wears a shirt with Fleetwood Mac's Rumors, which is, in my opinion, the best rock album of all time.
Yes.
Love Rumors. And that is an album that was recorded while the band members were getting divorced. They were breaking up in their personal relationships, which seems to be happening with Huey when he appears to leave the boys for Newman's campaign. And the music that is playing over those final minutes is the Beach Boys' God Only Knows, which also plays over the epilogue montage of Love Actually, which showed a mix of happy endings and sad endings.
Yes.
But more importantly, we learn the origin of Huey's Billy Joel love this episode. Somersault dance parties with his mom to You May Be Right. And despite all that, he still dances to Billy Joel. Very interesting moment there.
Yes.
But the track we hear in this episode is Only the Good Die Young, which, if you look into the lyrics of that song, it's a song about, a good Christian girl who gets seduced by a bad boy. And earlier in the episode, it seems to reflect Starlight. She's a good Christian girl with a new cross necklace. She's thinking about her morality. But really, the good girl lured to the dark side this episode is Huey, bringing us to our final shot. And this is the last detail I want to talk about. Huey takes a job working for Newman. It's horrible.
I want to do it the right way. Not covered in quite as many guts.
Oh, poor Huey. Now you're closer to the blood splash zone than ever before. Poor guy. But not only is Huey the seduced youngling to Only the Good Die Young, the final shot shows Newman darkly closing the door on us, shutting us out, like the final shot of The Godfather. But this is another example of that cynical safety video for the school earlier, LAW, law. As Homelander did with the soldiers, Newman locks the door to trap Huey inside. She's super armed, and now we all have to wait to see what happens next. Those are all the details I spotted this episode. We're going to be doing another breakdown of all the Newman clues throughout the season. And yeah, we'll be talking more and more about the boys. We can't wait for season 3. And we're going to have some deeper thoughts this episode. But first, we want to thank some people who helped us make it.
All right, everybody, let's talk about sleep. So important, so necessary. There are many reasons why you might not be getting great sleep right now. Maybe your head just exploded when you were opening a can of Fresca. But your mattress should not be one of them. Helix Sleep makes personalized mattresses made in America, shipped straight to your door with free no-contact delivery, free returns, and a 100-night sleep trial. And as I've said, if after 100 nights you're not in love with this baby, give it 101. Give it another night. These things are incredible. I slept on a Helix mattress last night. I slept like I was dead. I didn't move. I didn't move a muscle. I didn't roll around uncomfortably. I just laid flat on my back, staring at the ceiling, wondering about why we're here. So, to choose a mattress, Helix made a 2-minute quiz that matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. For me, I just clicked a picture of a hamburger and said I was a beefy boy who likes to snooze. Eric, you are a Helix mattress owner as well.
Yeah. Tommy and I both sleep on Helixes, sometimes the same one when we need someone to hold. But it's like the Helix Lusk Dusk. When I took the quiz, it was like I'm mostly a back sleeper until my girlfriend's like, stop snoring, and then I roll over on my side. Yeah, it's got like a good mix of like different sleeping types on it, and they have different types for all kinds of sleepers, on belly sleepers, whatever you are, they have it for you. It's pretty cool.
And for me, it's arms crossed, I'm the boss, up at the ceiling, very revealing. Helix was awarded the #1 best overall mattress pick of 2020 by GQ Magazine, Wired Magazine, and Apartment Therapy. And you know who else made him the #1 best overall mattress? Tom Bechtold, okay? Official voice of the Buffalo Bills. Just go to helixsleep.com/underground, take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you with a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. They have a 10-year warranty, and you get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but you will. You will love it, and they're not going to come back and pick it up because you're going to sleep on that thing until the mattress literally disintegrates. That's how long you'll have it for. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/underground. That's Helix, HELIX, sleep.com/underground for up to $200 off. Dang.
Awesome. Damn.
Sleep is so important, guys. You gotta need it. Let's get down to some deeper questions that we all had coming out of this episode. Eric, what is Newman's end game?
Yeah, that's really the question, right? I think, obviously, higher office. She's running for higher office, probably presidency. Yeah. She might settle for the vice presidency and then get the presidency when someone's head accidentally pops. But I think beyond that, I don't think just the presidency is her end game. I think, obviously, she's in cahoots with Vought. She's working with them to help drive up the price of their shares for their company through their pharmaceuticals. And as we found out this episode, it seems like in this world, the president has no problem bypassing the FDA to get various pharmaceutical drugs in people's hands, including Compound V. And if they can control the market forces in that way, they can make a pretty nice windfall for both of them. And I think, as we saw with Victoria Neuman, she's a soup herself, and I don't think she's really concerned with whatever other kind of soup. Like, she would have Secret Service, but I think she's her own Secret Service.
Yes,
wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I would say that we're being set up for a lot more of we'll find much more of her agenda out after this year, or in season 3 rather. It does, because right now it seems kind of like, why? Like, I still am like, why did she do all of that? Like, what's in it for her? Like, I guess money would be the thing. But we will certainly find out. Question 2: is Stormfront actually dead?
What do you think, Tommy? I mean, she's messed up. Yeah. She's messed up, but so is Anakin Skywalker. And I don't know. It didn't seem like we had a moment where you had that final death rattle. Yeah. It's just we started to focus on other characters in that scene.
And we know from TV and movies, especially in 2020, unless you see them dead, they're not dead. They're coming back. Yeah. Like, I mean, she's coming back in some way, shape, or form. From my understanding of when Homelander was literally burning her breasts off, like, she must be able to regenerate to some degree, right?
She must, yeah.
I don't know if it's lizard, reptilian, where it's like she can regrow limbs. So there might be something where she becomes kind of a cyborg type soup.
Yeah, cyborg would be sick. I think if they wanted to show her actually dead, this is a show that has no problem with gore, they would have ripped her in half the way that Hitler cartoon did. That was amazing. I thought that was setting up what was going to happen to her. I thought a car was going to hit her somehow, even though I don't think that would kill her. But they wouldn't just cut off her arms and legs. That's specific. I think that's easily replaceable by prosthetics, especially if you're soup, or regrowable. And I think we'll see her again. She's too cool of a character, and that actress is so great. Aya Cash is amazing.
I'm wondering if maybe we'll have a third faction, besides the boys and Vought, boys versus Vought, if there will be a not Proud Boys, but maybe a white supremacist movement. Maybe we'll find her and rebuild her or something like that.
I can see that.
Interesting to see. Okay, question 3: is there anything to the disappearance of Huey's mom?
I might have just read into this too much, but it was just a weird thing in that moment where he said she didn't leave a note, she didn't call, nothing, and he assumed that she left and never turned back. Yes. I feel like that's got to be a setup for something with the mom.
Yeah, too much time spent on it to have it not be something that will be paid off or explored again for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, it would be a little like Ray Palpatine a little bit, I think, right? Huey, what is so great about him is that this one accident with A-Train running through Robin is what drew him into this madness. Right. If there were some other kind of mythology to his parentage, I don't want it to be that important, but it would be cool if it's personal, like if his mom was a was like a whistleblower for Vought or something like that.
Sure,
like something else that's connected to the Vought.
Well,
the way that Vought's conspiracy is everywhere.
It might explain more of like Simon Pegg's kind of lack of motive, where he said his dad just stopped living life.
Yeah, I could see that. You know? Yeah, there's like a lot of open-ended questions with a lot of these characters, which I love. Like, I love that has this whole thing with his dad, and we don't really know exactly what his dad was suing over. There's questions about Black Noir and what his identity is, and clearly these are all things that they're saving for season 3.
Next question: do we think Ryan is going to turn evil eventually?
That is kind of the question. I mean, it looked like Billy Butcher was absolutely going to kill him in that moment, right? Like, until Homelander showed up, it looked like Butcher didn't give a he was going to take him out. But here's what I'm thinking. I think Ryan, that's Billy's concern. That's Billy's expectation. But I think at the end of the day, Ryan is going to be our saving grace on this show. In the same way that, like, this whole show began in a corrupt, messed up world, I think it's maybe seasons from now, it's going to end with this thing. Like, we all worried that the next generation would just get worse and we'd spiral further and further down a pit of despair. But really, the next generation is our shining beacon of hope. We have to trust these kids, to save us. I did agree with that logic that, Ryan needed Becca to be as good, to avoid becoming Homelander. But I guess the question now is, like, was Becca's influence throughout these early years enough? Did she imprint enough goodness on him? It seems like he has a lot of good traits. The fact that he lists states when he's feeling anxious, and he felt so bad when he killed her, and he inherently knows to distrust Homelander and trust Billy Butcher. I think those are all good qualities.
Yep, agreed. Finally, what's the Deep going to do now that his hopes of rejoining the Seven are dashed?
Oh, I'm so excited to see the Deep. Like, I hated the Deep so much in season 1, but he was so much fun to watch this season. I hope they just keep getting weirder and weirder with him. Like, this season, they used him as like the character to tie in this whole Church of the Collective. I really want to see him, like, become a sea friend. It just like spend all of his time underwater, or something weird, like maybe he starts like volunteering with kids. I feel like if you compare this to The Wire, he could be the Presbelusky of the show. The Presbelusky was just such a shithead at the start of that series, and then in season 4 he becomes the coolest character when he becomes a teacher. And that was such an amazing arc, and I'd love to see the Deep go on that redemption arc and just become like the most redeemed, most interesting character that we root for by the end of the series. That would be such an interesting full circle arc
for sure. I'm excited. I could also see him becoming like a Joel Osteen, like kind of like evangelical himself, like
that'd be wild.
Like if he just takes it even more like into like the cult, like ultra religious kind of full of shit person. Anyway. So it'll be fun to see what he does. I also there's a version where if he's just working at SeaWorld, that is also very fun. And he's like doing the show at SeaWorld, but or Vaughtland. Maybe he gets hired at a Vought amusement park. Anyway, I'm going to catch us up now on the kill counts for this episode and the final season standings for all of the murders and kills and thrills and blood spills that took place on The Boys this year. The Gill kills. So, no, we didn't see Stormfront die, and we're told that she's in prison, so we're not going to include her in the kill count, but she is definitely effed, as they say. Also, the big reveal at the end of the episode obviously adjusts our season totals, so more on that in just a second. So, Ryan has 1 kill, his mom, Becca, an emotional kill. Never ideal to murder your mother with a energy blast. Newman has 1 kill, Alistair Adana, that she popped his head like a Fresca top. Homelander, 8 kills, 1 Vought mercenary on screen and 7 off screen. We're assuming by the volume of the blood on his face that he killed the entire Vought team. It did not seem like there were any survivors when he came out with a like spa treatment of blood and guts on him. So, for sure. That gives us our top 5 murderers for the season, top 5 killers on this season of The Boys. We have Black Noir with 5 kills at number 5. We have Kimiko with 6 kills at number 4. Homelander coming in with 13 kills at number 3 because he was leapt at the last moment by Congressman Newman, our number 2 killer, with 16 kills after we found out she was the one lock, and dropping. Stormfront, though, will be the all-time season leader, with 67 kills. That's a lot of kills by a very bad person.
Not a good person.
Speaking of killing it, Erik, you killed it all season. What fun we've had. Marina,
so did you, man. This is great.
This is great. Marina, we missed you today. That's our Marina. Show. So great to chat with you all season long, Erik. This is our last Boys Underground until next season, which hopefully we will get in 2021. In the meantime, keep your eyes peeled for our coverage of The Mandalorian Season 2 and WandaVision, both on Disney+. Reminder to join our official Discord by becoming a patron at patreon.com/newrockstar. You can follow me at Tommy Bechtold, follow Erik at EA Voss, follow New Rockstar on socials, and subscribe here on YouTube to get too much information on all the stuff you care about. Let's go, Buffalo. Erik, I bid you good day.
Bye, Tommy. See you next time.